Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the WHYBUT podcast. My name is Isaac. I'm joined, of course, by my co-host. It's Nick. And Nick, I was at the gym this morning, and on my way back to my car, I was walking through the car park, and when I was kind of just a few cars away from my car, a woman, middle-aged woman, I'd put her at maybe 52, had her window rolled down. You know, she had her passenger side window. She was in the driver's side. She called out to me, Nick, from across her car and said, "Hey, you know Nick, right?" And I said, "Janky Nick?" And she said, "Yeah, that's him. YouTube.com/Janky Nick." And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And she's like, "I need to know. Could you please ask for me, what has he been up to, man?" And I said, "Sure, I will ask you that." And then she rolled up her window on a BMW iX5 and drove away, man. So,
wow, what an honor. What an honor. BMW iX, what a car as well, with its big beaver teeth. I've seen one of those. have a look at that beauty.
It does
First
have
of all, Isaac,
teeth.
big beaver teeth. But no paid heated seats anymore.
Oh, yeah, no, they got rid of it.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
They did.
Good job, BMW.
So graced should I be for that question to have been asked, Isaac? Well, first of all, the other day, I actually had a crack at making the chicken enchiladas that we talked about in the very first WHYBUT podcast. Yeah, episode
what
1,
did
if you have
you
not listened.
think, man?
They were fantastic. They were so good.
They're real tasty, man. I like them.
I've got like a tub of the sauce still in my fridge that I'm going to use. I'm going to use it as pasta sauce because why not?
Yeah, sure.
It's the right consistency.
It's crazy, though, because it's kind of just like chili powder. Like, it's almost all chili powder. How many? That's my first question, I guess. How many tablespoons of chili powder did you put in, man?
So we were discussing this. So I was making these with my girlfriend, and I said to her, I was like, look, don't put in too much chili powder. I said, don't put in as much as this recipe calls for, because and then she stopped me and she was like, I've listened to the first podcast, so I know. And I was like, okay, so you know. She put, I want to say, half a teaspoon to 3/4 of a teaspoon in, and it had a nice kick.
Out of 3 tablespoons, that's quite a small amount.
So we put in like just under a teaspoon, and it had just a nice little kick to it. We made, I think, want to say, we didn't make as much as the recipe initially calls for. There's like a preset amount, right? It's like 8 servings or 3 cups or something like that. We sliced that in half.
I see. Okay.
So we went from 3 tablespoons to I think 1.5 maybe.
Nick, that's what I put in. I put in 1.5 tablespoons of enchilada sauce, and you're right. It's got a bit of spice, but it's not like excessively spicy for the sake of being excessively spicy. But again, as we learned in a previous episode, man, it's all about the kind of chili powder that you use, right?
Exactly. So I think I've got quite a hot chili powder, right? Because we then only cut that further still, and we used a teaspoon instead of a tablespoon. So we chose a smaller spoon as well. It was really good. I used a slow cooker to cook my chicken breasts. I noticed that there was a little appendix area on the recipe that said if you have an instant pot, you can use this recipe to steam chicken breasts. So I was like, oh well, let's do that. That actually might be less messy than pan frying it, right? Yeah. So season the chicken a little bit of salt, bit of pepper, bit of garlic granules, bit of oil, chucked it in my slow cooker on top of like a little trivet, and then filled the slow cooker with water up to just below the trivet, and then steamed it for like 15 minutes. Man, it came out. I double forked to tear the chicken breasts apart. I don't have any kind of like mixing device, right? As satisfying as that looked, but it pulled so nicely. It was great. It was the perfect consistency. Only took like 15 minutes in there. Perfect consistency, and then put everything together, mixed everything together. I found at the supermarket, Isaac, Tex-Mex cheese.
Yo, okay.
Yeah. So I was looking, I was like, I'm gonna look for some kind of, spiced or Mexican cheese.
Yeah.
But I was kind of saying it with the preconception of not being able to find it, right? I was like, oh, I'll have a look. I don't expect to find any. I'll probably just end up getting cheddar, right?
The cheese that you found, was it sliced, like pre-sliced?
It was grated. It was actually pre-grated. Okay. Yeah,
Fair
yeah.
enough.
So I was looking, and I wasn't planning to get grated cheese because I prefer blocks of cheese and then doing it myself. I think it tastes nicer.
It doesn't have like the anti-caking agent, right? That's
yes,
on,
the
over on each
powderiness,
piece.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
So I was just kind of like, okay, maybe I'll get the cheddar, and then I glimpsed in the corner of my eye this black bag of spiced Tex-Mex cheese, and I was like, oh, okay, hello, I'll buy that. It's quite expensive, but all cheese is. And sprinkled it on, and that also had quite a kick to it, had like little flicks of chili in, and I think it was a mix of cheddar and mozzarella, maybe. I can't remember the exact. Of course it was.
It is. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Famous Mexican cheeses, cheddar and mozzarella.
Of course, exactly. Very famous Mexican cheeses. I wonder if I saved a photo of it or if I didn't. No, it doesn't look like
fair,
I did.
Whenever I make the enchiladas, I put a mix of cheddar and mozzarella on. That's what I use in
nice
as my cheese substitutes. It's not what the recipe calls for, but like I said, as we've berated in the past, the UK cheese selection is cheddar, more cheddar, and maybe a bit of mozzarella along with your cheddar. So
exactly. But it was very nice. I made four burritos with the idea that we would have two each over dinner. By the time we finished the first,
it's a lot of food. It's more food than you think.
We're storing the others. We got through one and we were like, that's enough. So the other two ended up in a box in the fridge that I had the next day. Because I was very hungry, right? Before eating these. I was like, I can get through two of these things easy.
Right.
By the time I'd finished one, I just felt full. It's not often that happens, but I just felt so
It's crazy
full.
though, because you look at it and it looks like just a chicken wrap, right? You're like, oh, it's just a chicken wrap with cheese. But then you try it and like the sauce and the fact that it's just all chicken and the wrap, it's a lot. Like, you eat one of them and you're like, oh, okay, whew, that's it's more than I thought.
It's kind of got me, because the thing is, they're not, I didn't have rice in, right?
No, yeah.
So
I think that's
usually
the difference
that
between
really
like
cuts it out.
Like a burrito and an enchilada, right?
Yes, exactly. So I was expecting, like, if we made burritos, right, and I put rice in, that would be all right.
Hopefully not rice in.
No, hopefully not rice in. I did think that as I said it.
You can put rice in, but don't put rice in.
I've been feeling a little bit under the weather recently. I don't know what it is. It must be those bed bugs that are everywhere.
But I'm glad you liked them, man. They're good stuff.
Thanks, man. I definitely make them again. I used the other 4 tortillas that I had left over from the pack to meal prep some breakfast burritos, which I've done before. Burritos in quotes because they don't actually have any rice in either. But it's a mix
I don't think a breakfast, I think the term breakfast burrito excludes rice.
Yeah.
I think anywhere you go and you order a breakfast burrito, I would be surprised if it had rice in it. To be fair, man, I've ordered actual burritos before now that have not had rice in them, like from Mexican restaurants, as Mexican as you can get in the UK, which I'm always surprised at.
Interesting.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, that was just a mix of ground pork, scrambled eggs, and I had a little bit of that cheese left over, a bit of that. And I just decided to put a bit of the enchilada sauce in there as well. I was like, I've got it. So
I mean, it's nice. It's kind of just like a tomato-y. It's got a little chicken stock in there, but then it's just like nice, like spiced tomato sauce.
Yeah.
It's tasty. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's like a nice addition. Doesn't really overpower anything too much. So that was very nice, hopefully.
Yeah. So like prior to making the enchilada sauce recipe, again, Preppy Kitchen, by the way, is the recipe. If you just Google Preppy Kitchen enchilada sauce, you'll find the recipe we're talking about and their associated enchilada recipe. But I've made many a roux where you take, butter, you melt it down, you whisk in flour, and then you make like a sauce from there. Like if I'm making like mac and cheese, right? I'll do something similar where you take like butter, melt it, add flour, maybe add milk, mix it, you make like a thickened paste, and then you can like melt your cheese in or whatever, right? And you get that nice base for like a white sauce. I've never done it with another fat. Like I never even thought to do it with another fat. And this recipe makes like a pseudo roux with olive oil, right? You do the same thing where you heat the olive oil up and then you mix in the flour and you get this kind of like olive oil based roux that I don't know, I was just quite surprised when I did it. I was like, oh, I'd never thought about making a roux with other fats, but it makes complete sense that you totally could.
Yeah. And it doesn't look like, quite pleasantly, it doesn't have that kind of floury taste or texture to it, right? Because you kind of cook it in quite a bit, which was very good. I did notice that as well, but it's got a nice consistency to it. Yeah, exactly. So that was very good. Apart from that, I have been mostly working, mostly scrolling, and I've been coming across some very interesting debates, shall we say, recently on the old interwebs, Isaac, that are actually a lot more divided than I initially thought. So the first, Isaac, had to do with teeth brushing.
Okay.
Right?
I can't confirm I partake in this cultural norm.
You partake in this activity usually twice a day.
Usually twice a day, yeah.
Usually twice a day. Okay. I'm glad. Okay, we can both participate fully and wholly in this conversation then. I have a question, Isaac.
I know we've disagreed in the past on teeth brushing, so I'm interested in where this is going.
Do you brush your teeth before or after eating your first meal of the day / consuming any drink other than water?
So, that's a good question. I usually prefer to eat food first and then brush my teeth and then go about my day, right? So wake up, consume food and drink, and then brush my teeth and leave. My thought process is that, like, at that point, my teeth are clean. I know I'm not going to be eating for, like, many, many hours. You know, if I wake up at 8, I'm probably not going to be eating again until, like, noon, 1 o'clock. And so it seems to me perfect. It seems like a waste of time to brush my teeth and then immediately go and, like, eat food, drink something that might have sugar in it or whatever, and then, you know, contaminate what's happening there. However, I do believe this is not what dentists recommend. I believe it's recommended to get like a little bit of like fluorine or something on your teeth ahead of time to protect your teeth from the bombardment of morning food. So I think 4 out of 5 dentists would recommend brushing your teeth first and then eating. But Isaac doesn't recommend that. As a non-trained dental, non-expert, I do it the opposite way, man. What about you?
Okay, so I, throughout my whole life, have brushed my teeth. It's the very first thing I do when I get out of bed, right? I am at the point now where I can't even bring myself to really eat anything before I brush my teeth because it feels weird in my mouth. Like I've got all the night grime, right? And sitting of enzymes in my mouth. I'm like, oh.
It seems crazy to me because the last thing you do in an evening before you go to sleep is brush your teeth, right? And then nothing goes in your mouth, food-wise, I assume, between when you brush your teeth in the evening to sleep and then when you wake up first thing in the morning, right? Obviously, your mouth's had time to kind of just sit and fester, right, overnight, which is never good. But like,
is a good word.
In my mind, I've brushed my teeth and then nothing's happened, right? It'd be like the analogy in my head is like I go out, I wash my car, and then the next day I know I'm going to go driving through some muddy field somewhere, and I'm like, should I wash my car again in the morning before I go through the muddy field, or should I wash it after I go through the muddy field? And of course, I do it after. Washing it before I go again seems counterintuitive and wholly unnecessary.
Oh, what if it's been raining, Isaac? It's all those streaks left on the car from all the rain overnight.
No, my car's in a garage. It's covered with like, one of
those car covers.
A tarp. Yeah, it's fully protected.
Okay,
in this scenario, my actual car is not. It's outside.
I will say that on days where I know that I'm just going to be on my own, so I'm just in my apartment working, doing whatever, I brush my teeth first thing, go out, get my coffee, come back, make my breakfast, and then consume, and then go about my day, right? On days where I'm going to leave early, for whatever reason that may be, I will, and I know that this is also not recommended by probably 5 out of 5 dentists.
Is this third brush coming in here?
I brush my teeth again immediately after eating, and then leave, and I'm like, oh yeah, I feel nice and fresh, right? I feel nice and fresh. And there's a little bit.
But at that point, why not just not skip the first brush? I don't understand.
It's just the mouth. It feels too weird in the mouth. I'm conditioned. I'm conditioned not to. So
like,
yes.
I get the mouth feeling weird, but I feel like a quick sip of water and your mouth is gonna feel fine again, right? In my experience. Like that first thing in the morning mouthfeel is not pleasant, but I feel like
great.
Quick glass of water, you're gonna feel great. Get your food done, or whatever, and then brush teeth. But again, not advice. I think dentists do recommend brushing first and then eating.
Yeah, my personal trainer has told me in past of clients that would get out of bed and go straight to the gym without brushing their teeth, and he was like.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, it ain't it. It ain't it. And I was like, I couldn't do that. I need a getting. I'm just so used to having a getting ready routine now. When I get up, like I get up, brush my teeth, have a shower, and then I feel fully ready for the day.
See,
right?
This is another big debate, and I feel like I've heard you before say that sometimes you're a double showerer as well as a triple teether. But the big debate as to whether or not you shower before bed or you shower first thing in the morning, right, is another seemingly big cultural divide as well.
It is. It is.
So are you playing both sides of this debate, or are you firmly in the morning shower camp?
I am probably 75% to the morning camp, because that's what I used to do, and now I double shower. Because
also
course,
not recommended, I don't think.
Right? Best of both worlds. But I shower first thing in the morning, and literally it's the last thing I do before I go to bed. Simply because, like, if I've got like night sweats or something in the night, I don't really want to like go about my day unshowered, right? Yeah. And then also, if I'm going to bed last thing at night, I kind of want to feel clean before I get into bed. Right. Yep. So I just do both. But if I had to pick one, I would pick morning showering, just because that is the thing that truly makes me like feel it wakes me up. I feel ready for the day. And a lot of times, like if I'm traveling, if I'm staying at people's places, or if there's just not enough time in the day, I will shower in the morning, and then that will just be my shower for the day.
That's right. The thing. I think I understand the argument that the evening showerers have, because they want to get like clean and then into bed, right? They don't want to be grimy with a day's worth of grime and then get into bed, right? And
exactly.
And sleep in it, I guess, or whatever. But man, it's so tricky. Like I like an evening shower, don't get me wrong, but then I wake up in the morning, my hair is a mess. Like when I've slept, you wash your hair and then trying to sleep with it, my hair's like out here I've got like massive, stick outs everywhere because where my head's touched the pillow or whatever. It's horrible. And then, like you say, you wake up in the morning, and not having that shower in the morning part of the routine just throws the day off, man. It's so much easier to wake yourself up with a good morning shower. So I also prefer the morning showers from like a practical standpoint, but I understand the, desire for an evening shower 100%.
Yeah. I feel like the morning shower is the true transition for me from rest to work, right? And potentially that argument is also made in the evening. The other way around.
The other way around, yeah.
I do understand why people like the evening showers, because they're like, oh, well, you're just going to get into bed, and then, your bed's clean, and then it means the next day you can just wake up and go. But I can't wake up and go. That's where the difference is, I think. I feel, groggy. I'm like, oh, like I've got like sleep in my eyes. I'm just like, and I'm feeling a bit grimy.
So how much? This is an interesting question, though. Like, would you not consider yourself a morning person?
I go through phases. Right now, I'd say I am a morning person.
Right. It's just the way you described yourself there, because I know a couple of people. For me, I can kind of wake up and then instantly be ready to go and do something, right? be like, okay, we're gonna go do this. Whereas there are quite a few other people that I know where they're like zombies for the first like hour or two after they wake up. They need like a real long thawing from their slumber before they are like able to interact with other people and do things about their day.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and,
I know some people like this as well.
They just wake up and they're just a real like they're not pleasant to be around first thing in the morning.
Yeah. I would say that I'm not like that, but I do need the shower. But I can get ready very quickly, right?
Yeah.
Like I can get up 7:30 and by 8:00 comes around, I'm out the door, like I'm doing whatever. And I can get like my brain active quite quickly as well.
Nice.
If I needed to go out, this is always the case with going on holiday when the flights are at ungodly hours, right? That's probably the only time where I get up and go and shower before bed and treat that as my shower. Usually because it's only been like 3 hours, right? Between if I'm waking up at 3 a.m. and I'm showering at 11 p.m. It's only been 4 hours. So there's no real need for it. And you've sometimes not even really fallen asleep too deeply. But I would say that I'm quite good at getting up and going. Also, I will say that I used to take really long showers, but now after becoming a double showerer, I think that my 2 showers combined take up the same period of time as one of my showers used to beforehand. So now I used to have like 15-minute showers.
Okay,
right?
I thought you were going to say 50-minute showers. No. I was getting ready to.
I don't think I've got the water heating storage for that.
Okay, now 15 minutes is not too bad, right?
Yeah, it used to be like 15 to 20 minutes, right? I used to be there in the morning like, well, I need to warm up. That's another big thing. In the winter, I like can't really activate until I've fully warmed up. I feel quite cold. Even with heating on and stuff. But now I would say that my average shower time is probably like 6-7 minutes, right? I just have quicker showers. So I think that, and the reason I can tell this is not just by kind of figuring it out and counting, but also my hot water doesn't run out. So it used to be the case where I would have my hot water. So I have a immersion heater. So it's a big tank with a big metal rod that heats up inside it. I used to have that on for, I want to say about 2 hours a day. Right. And by the end of the day, that would be cold. So sometimes I would go for a quick evening shower and it would be cold. Now I have it on for 1 hour and 15 to 1 hour and a half per day. And usually by the end of the day, it's still a little bit lukewarm or it's warm enough to have a quick shower.
So how does this work? Do you have to go and like physically flick a switch to turn this on and off? Or like what's the deal with your water heating situation?
It's on a timer. So it's on a timer. It heats up in the morning. Sometime between, I think I've got it set from 6:45 to 8:15.
This makes a lot of sense because you've got electric radiators, right? Like your heating is electronic.
I do. Yeah. Exactly. Everything here is electric. So that heats up, and then that, because it's so well insulated, that stays warm throughout the whole day. Like there'll be times where if I've not been in all day and I'll come back, the water is boiling hot at like 10 p.m. at night. Right, which is quite handy because it means that it doesn't have to turn on twice.
Yeah.
And then there's a little boost button. Like if I have used all the water up, usually it happens when I have to wash loads and loads of dishes. I can hit that and then it turns back on for an hour and that usually sorts me. Or if I've got guests as well. I used to live in a house that had a combi boiler.
Yeah.
Which, for people outside of the UK / who aren't that well versed with boilers, those are the boilers / water heating furnaces that turn on actively when hot water is requested. Right,
I believe
so you turn the hot water tap on.
Yeah.
Yes, they turn on, they heat the water, and then you get the hot water. So basically, what it means is you only heat as much hot water as you need. The downside is, and I had experienced this at university when there was 3 people sharing one boiler. Usually when more than a set amount of hot water is requested, it really can't keep up. So 2 people showering, because I used to be top floor, my shower, as soon as someone else turned their shower on, would go completely cold, which was horrible. I used to have to message people to be like, hi, I'm having a shower. I'll message you when I'm out.
See, I imagine this is not a problem most people have because I imagine most houses don't have like 3 people showering at once, right?
Yeah.
Most houses have a shower, maybe 2 at most, right? So like I don't really run into this issue with hot water. I just it is there when I need it. The biggest problem is just that boilers are a nightmare, right? They're expensive to replace. They're expensive to maintain. They're, prone to failure. They lose pressure. I've got to go and repressurize my boiler like regularly. And and they're loud as well. Whenever I turn the heating on, it's dun, 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 boom, and you hear the water. You hear it. You hear it. You hear the pipes. There are pipes in the floor, and you hear them. At my house is a little older, I guess. You hear like the pipes shake a little bit as the water moves through it, and it's my boiler's also old as well.
We luckily we had fairly new boilers, which were actually quite quiet, which was good. I think having those gave me an excuse to have longer showers back then as well, a few years ago, because you'd never run out of hot water. You could keep going as long as you wanted. But now, because I have a hot water tank, I know that if I have a shower past a certain length or, wash X amount of dishes, that water will get cold unless I boost it. And then also, electricity's more expensive these days as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So that
and gas,
that kind of consideration too. Yeah, also true.
Gas is a lot more expensive. Like I feel like it's like plus 50% in like the last 2 years. It's gone up a lot.
It's crazy.
I've got a question, man. So you don't have a dishwasher, right? You're washing dishes manually.
Correct.
Dishwashers, I assume they take in cold water and then heat it up themselves.
That's correct.
They don't take in hot water from the boiler and then use that.
They take cold water. Yeah. In Europe, as far as I'm aware, all appliances are like that.
Yeah.
In the US, washing machines, dryers, and I think dishwashers. I'm not sure about dishwashers, but I think maybe dishwashers too. They all use the hot water supply. Huh. And the reason is because North America's voltage is only 120. The amount of energy required to heat water to that extent, that quickly, would trip a lot of North American power supplies, right?
Yeah,
so that's why they just use the hot water supply rather than
kind of a similar reason,
or gas. Sorry,
a similar reason to why the kettles are just less prevalent, right? It's just like it takes longer in
exactly. So
120 volts instead of 240. Yeah,
that's it. Exactly. Yeah. So dryers they don't use hot water, but they use gas. They'll take a gas input and use that as a heating source. Yeah, I know. It's got quite interesting. When I was there a few years ago
as well, though, because like that means you can't move your dryer. Like you've got to have it pumped into the gas line.
Yeah.
Like I've moved my dryer a fair few times, and it's just a machine that you like a microwave. You just pick up and move it.
Which is handy, isn't it? Very handy. Yeah. You've got to make sure you turn off the gas supply and undo it and stuff. I think most North American homes / potentially even apartments and stuff as well, they have just a room, like a utility room for those things.
Sure.
The other advantage from these is that the washing machines and tumble dryers, this also might be the fact that everything is in excess in America. They are huge.
Yeah.
Oh, man. We were visiting a few years ago. We could put full family of fours washing in, and it would be like half full, right? The drum would just be, it'd be like a cavern. And then you could put it all in the dryer, and that would be fine as well. And it would dry quite quickly because it was using gas, so it could heat up very efficiently.
Oh, that's I've got a condenser dryer. It's a dryer that I have to. So like some dryers, you have like a tube that you pipe out of the window or out of the wall, right? And so I imagine in the UK, if you have those, you're usually not moving your dryer anywhere because you kind of sometimes got a hole in the wall that you have to feed a tube out of, right? But then the dryer I have doesn't have a tube. It has just a compartment. It's like a dehumidifier. The way it's just like it collects water. So mine just got like a tray that I pull out and it's full of water and I go and have to empty it out, right? But the dryer that I've got, I think like the drum is too big for how big the water tank is. So like, and also it's one of these. It's a little old now. It's maybe like 7 years old, but it's like an Eco Energy Plus, and on the front it's like A plus. It's like 8 pluses after the A for its energy rating, and it's kind of garbage, man. It kind of doesn't. It takes like 4 hours to dry anything.
Yeah,
it doesn't use much power. I'll grant it that it's pretty low power. It's like it's got some kind of tech where it like manages to recirculate the heat more efficiently or something like that. But like, man, does it ever take forever? And do I have to like, sometimes if I put like towels in to wash, I'll have to like put it on, and then it'll stop and there'll be a light flash and be like, hey, your water tank's full, and I'll go and empty the water tank out and I'll put it back in and I'll keep it going. I'll have to do it a second time, and then the third reinsertion of the water draw, it actually finishes drying the towels, and it's fun, man. It's real great. I like it.
Yeah. My parents have the exact same type of dryer, condenser dryer, and it's the same situation where it will like start beeping and you pull out. It's for people who don't know how it works, that it's like where the soap tray would be on a washing machine.
Exactly.
You pull that out, and that is the big water tank, and you pour it out into the sink. That thing is like full. Like you have to be careful for it not to slosh out a little bit. Yeah, then you go and like empty the whole thing out. It's a bit warm, and then the clothes are never dry. They take forever. The one my family has a sensor in, and it's like we sense when the clothes are dry, and then we stop automatically.
Yeah, mine does the same.
That sensor is terrible. Too optimistic.
Yep.
Yeah.
You go and everything's still damp. Yep, 100% of the time. Yep.
It's not great. I think it's at the point now where it's so ineffective. I think they're just thinking of replacing it, but it is like 13 years old, I think, so it's kind of fair enough. I have a washer dryer.
Ooh. See, I have not heard good things about washer dryers, man, but I'm intrigued.
It's to be fair, I'll defend it a bit. It's better than having nothing at all.
Right.
The drying takes forever. It's got this like, we will wash and dry all of your stuff in 1 hour setting, right? I'll use that in a pinch.
Right.
The garments, usually towels and sheets, I use that for. They come out hot and damp.
Yeah.
But I treat it as like accelerated air drying, right? Like they're just slightly less wet than I would have been if nothing had happened at all. And because they're hot, I'll hang them up quickly, and then hopefully the heat will also accelerate the drying process in just, on a era a little bit more quickly.
See, that's the thing, actually. Like I have found so I bought my first dehumidifier last year, and it's a pretty big dehumidifier because we've got a fairly big space to get rid of, and we've had like it's for some reason it's incredibly like humid in this house, and so we've got it like upstairs on the hallway or the landing area. And I have found that actually it's just oftentimes better than using the dryer. The dehumidifier is on all the time. It kind of lowers the humidity to a certain temperature, and then once it clocks a certain temperature, certain humidity level, it will turn itself off. And then periodically, like every half an hour, it turns on and checks, and if it's too high, it'll lower it again. And then, so it kind of turns itself off when it gets to the right humidity. But it's also got a button on it that's just like a t-shirt, and when you press that, it lowers it even further and really tries to suck the moisture out of the area. And so I found it's easier just to put the clothes area with all of our clothes just in front of that dehumidifier and just let it go for like 2 hours. And the clothes are lovely and dry.
Oh, I should invest in one of those. I have a dehumidifier that lives in my boiler room cupboard that actually has the washing machine on it. And on top of the washing machine is a small area that I will usually hang towels and underwear or socks on, right? And then that dehumidifier will turn on. It's quite a small one. It's probably like this big.
Oh yeah. The one I've got is like maybe like 4 foot tall. It's real big.
I've seen those. One of my friends had one of those, and when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, I should probably get one of those. My little one turns on overnight, so it turns on at like 1 a.m. and turns off at 7 a.m. just on a smart plug dumb timer, right? But I should get a proper one and have it live in my hallway, which is where my clothes usually dry. Because man, on days when it's raining as well, I will hang clothes up and they will take so long to dry that they'll start smelling.
Yeah.
And that's when you run into trouble because it's so hard to get that smell out without washing clothes at a really hot temperature. Yeah. So I need to get one of those. And I imagine that dehumidifier that you have is using an order of magnitude less energy than the tumble dryers do, because those things are just electric heat, like blasting electric heat, aren't they? And I think it's like dryers they contribute like a non-insignificant percentage of Western world's electricity costs, right?
That's probably why these quote-unquote semi-newer ones that, me and your parents have are complete garbage, because they're probably trying to be more eco-efficient. you know, which is why it takes 8 hours to dry anything, and even then they come out damp. So, you know,
honestly, that's it. Exactly. I should probably get one of those dehumidifiers. It'll probably there's probably pretty fast payback time,
yeah, probably.
with those things. So I should probably get one of those. I will put that on my internal
mental to-do list.
Amazon shopping list.
I don't know how they are at the minute. I can't remember when I bought mine. It was either earlier this year or it was like late last year, but there was none. Like you could not find them anywhere. There was like a shortage of dehumidifiers because it was like that time of year or something.
Right. Okay, I see.
And I was like refreshing pages, and I was on the hunt for one, and I eventually found one at like Argos of all places. But
of course.
But yeah, no, it was they were out everywhere. Like it was madness.
No way, because I also had a situation. Oh yes, I see these big ones. It's like Pro Breeze, 20 liters a day, 30 liters a day, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
When did I get mine? That's a good question, Isaac. One that I don't know the answer to, but I think this is the one I have. I'll link it to you. I can vouch for. It's
thank you very much.
Miko is the brand there on that one. And it's very good. They're rated super well, which is why I bought it.
Oh yeah, look at that.
But it's
Miko.
It's good stuff.
Very good. Yes, I think a worthy investment for sure. Yeah. So I have 2 bathrooms, right? One is an ensuite bathroom to my bedroom, and the other one is a bathroom that is accessible.
Both of them have like a shower?
Both of them have a shower.
Nice.
I exclusively use my ensuite just because it's convenient.
Attached to your bedroom, I assume, yeah.
Attached to my bedroom, and that's also got a shower cubicle rather than a shower over bath, which I much prefer.
Sure.
So I use that. I am quite good with ventilating my bedroom after showers. I will always open the window, even when it's cold. I'll still open it for 10 minutes or so. I've got a fan in the bathroom that stays on. I know a lot of people like to turn the main switch off. Because of just noise, but I keep mine on, even though it sounds like a jet engine taking off. And I noticed at the beginning of this year, next to my bedside table, there was like a little small mold patch, right? Just rising behind the back of the bedside table. So it's like, that's unfortunate. It's probably because of because I have showers in here and the room gets very humid. I've got one of those like Dyson fans that keeps track of humidity and temperature and stuff, and so you can see there's certain times of the day where it spikes and then goes back down and spikes and goes back down. This
is the main reason I bought the dehumidifier, is because we've had trouble in a couple of the bedrooms with mold, like just it's like up by the roof or whatever. And I talked before about the Taudo smart kit I've got. The Taudo, which is the smart radiator thing, it has a thermostat, but it also has a humidity sensor, and so you can also see on it where the humidity jumps.
Nice.
And so we were like, okay, we need to do humidifier. We need to like leave the bedroom doors open and just try and dehumidify the whole top floor of the house constantly.
Exactly. So I'm not sure if I have a photo of it, but I will look for it at some point. Maybe I'll send it in post because it's like somewhere deep in my camera roll. But one day I decided, okay, I'm going to tackle this. I've got some kind of sticky, a large carpet covering sticky roll, right? So but it's like what carpenters use if they're going to do work on your house and they don't want to mess your carpet up, right? They'll roll it and it will stick to the floor and then they'll rip it off afterwards. Right. So I bought some of that and I'm like, right, I'm going to spray some bleach on this wall to kill this mold. So I went and I moved the bedside table away. I was greeted with like half a wall of just green mold. And I looked and I was like, holy crap. And then I moved my bed, I moved my bed out the way. It was all behind the bed. It was on the back of the bed frame, like on the cloth back of the bed frame. And I was like, I've been sleeping here for how long since this has developed? And I was like, I open my windows, like I ventilate this room. And then I was kind of thinking, is it because maybe when I ventilate the room, it gets cold? Is there condensation on the walls? I'm trying to like figure it out. Probably still don't have a very good answer for it. But after that, I was like, holy crap. It took me like a day and multiple passes to get rid of these moldy walls. It was an absolute nightmare. It's
horrible. Yeah.
It was real bad. It was real bad.
I think surprisingly common in the UK because we've got this perfect blend of surprisingly humid, but also cold, right? It's cold and humid for so long in the year. It's cold and wet and damp and humid. And
exactly.
Buildings are made in such a way to retain the heat, but they also just retain moisture to an extreme degree. So yeah, no, you've
exactly.
Dehumidifiers, man, I'm telling you,
they hold it in. And so I at this point I already had my my dehumidifier in the airing cupboard, but I was like, right, okay, I definitely need to get one for my bedroom slash the hallway, because then I have had trouble as well with clothes just not drying quick enough. So one of those like larger ones, I think is probably just the ticket.
You'll be surprised at how much water, like with the dryer, when you gotta empty it out. You'll be amazed at how much water you've got to tip out, man.
Even in my little one,
yeah.
Like sometimes it just goes bang. If it's like a humid week, that thing just gets full, and I'm like, holy crap! Like this was in the air, right? I always think this was in the air. I do have thinking about it. Let me show you, because it's so, I'm so used to it being there that I actually forgot it existed until just now. I'm going to show you a very interesting device. I'm going to try not to spill it. Well.
For those listening on the audio only podcast, Nick just got up from his desk chair and is walking out of frame.
So, turns out I did have a dehumidifier in my hallway. I'm just so used to it being useless that here it is. Look at this. This is a passive dehumidifier.
Oh.
Now there's like a tablet, like a big white tablet, like a donut shaped tablet that goes in this compartment, and that naturally sucks up moisture and then deposits it in this tank. Right. As you can tell, this has probably been sitting here for about 6 months, because obviously I'm not replacing that tablet, right? And like this much water can be sucked up by a dehumidifier, like an electric one, in like a week, right? Yeah. So it's completely useless. I have jokes with other people who have this that I know that those tablets just secrete water, and it's like acting like something's going on when actually there isn't. So I did try and put a dehumidifier in my hallway, but I should get an electric one, because these ones are completely, I mean, they're all, I'm sure they're fine, but it's not very economical, is it? Replacing these weird tablets and then having them secrete blue water into a tank, and then it kind of gets everywhere. And I'm sure that would stain the carpets if I dropped it.
Yeah.
The wrong way. But yeah. So going off, Isaac, of the conversation that started this all, which was brushing teeth.
Yes.
I have another question.
I'm ready.
Do you use mouthwash?
Yes, I do.
Isaac uses, so this is the liquid, strong tasting liquid that you slosh around your mouth that you're meant to use post brushing.
Yes.
Question.
Slosh. Yeah.
Isaac. Mm-hmm. Is your mouthwash alcoholic in its contents or non-alcoholic?
It is alcoholic, and I actively choose the alcoholic variant. I have, from time to time, accidentally picked up the non-alcoholic variant, only to get home and be visibly annoyed that I have picked up an inferior product in my mind that is the same price for some reason, and nothing to do with the alcohol, because obviously you don't drink it, but just it feels better. It feels like it does a better job, you know? How about you?
So I'm the exact same. I actively seek out alcoholic mouthwash. I was in the store the other day.
Yeah.
I had to like put effort into finding alcoholic mouthwash. I couldn't believe it. There are all brands apart from Big L, right? Yeah. Like their mouthwash is exclusively non-alcoholic, but it will be in the tiniest words. It will be like, zero alcohol or alcohol free. So I'll see all of these mouthwashes on deal, because I just go in and I'm like, I want the cheapest one. What's the cheapest one? Oh, it's this. This is half price. And it's like non-alcoholic. And I'm like, no. It just feels like you're putting sugar water in your mouth. And I use a water flosser. It's a little device, got a little tank in it, shoots water out. It's quite a pleasant way of flossing, I find, especially compared to tape. I deliberately put a capful of mouthwash in it, and I want that to be alcoholic so that it also has the added effect of just keeping the internal tank and parts of the water flosser sterilized.
Yep.
Stop anything from kind of building up in there.
Stop that mold from your bedroom spreading into the
exactly. So sometimes like I'll buy mouthwash, I'll realize it's not alcoholic, and I'll be like, oh well, this is
useless,
kind of useless for my needs, right? Like I'll use it anyway, but I'll try to get through it faster just so that I don't have alcohol sloshing
just
through.
Imagine Nick's there in the morning finishing his brushing his teeth and mouthful of it, you know.
Instead of putting the one capful in to dilute the water in my water flosser, I actually just fill the tank with the mouthwash, right? But the thing is, I don't know if we're in the vocal minority here, man, because so many people I know who use mouthwash, they always say, no, that alcohol one, it's like my mouth is getting assaulted.
That's what I want.
That's what I want.
It feels like it's doing something.
Yeah, exactly. I like it.
I don't know, man.
Masochistic like that.
I don't think we are in the minority, just because Big L is so popular, right?
Big L is very popular. I always look for the biggest bottle of Big L.
Yeah, you buy the
and
purple
if it's on
Big
deal,
L?
I'll buy it. I'll buy whatever's on deal. If purple's on deal, I'll get purple. Right now, I've got blue. Quite often white. There's like a whitening one that's white that goes on deal. I actually really like that one, but clearly it doesn't sell as well because it goes on deal all the time. So I will flip flop between whatever's cheapest.
Yeah, sure.
I would like to get the whatever's cheapest generally, but seemingly all other brands seem to not use alcohol, so I'm restricted. In what I can use, but yeah, I know a lot of people who don't.
Wow,
who heavily dislike the taste.
I'm surprised then that you don't get age checked when you buy Big L, when you buy their mouthwash.
Oh, my self checkout never
bings it.
Has an age restriction.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm surprised. I just Googled it, and it says that Big L is 26.9% alcohol or 54 proof. Which is that's what I'm saying, right?
Bloody hell.
It says the higher alcohol content found in most beer, wine, and even some liqueurs.
Holy crap. No wonder it's so strong. Bloody
That's
hell.
crazy, yeah, right?
Well, I am confident then that it's sterilizing my water flosser. I thought it would be like, I don't know why, but I thought it'd be less than 10.
I was thinking like 4. I was thinking it'd be like a cider level of alcohol content. But no, man,
that's insane.
That's crazy. Yeah, and I did not expect that.
I'm assuming that the type of alcohol in Big L is not the type that should be consumed.
It says, I don't think you said that. The website I'm looking at says the dangers of drinking mouthwash to get drunk. So I imagine this is like a.
Oh, yeah. That's probably like high.
Don't do it. Is the answer.
High,
but no.
Yeah, that'd be awful. I have noticed as well, alcoholic mouthwash, if my throat is feeling clogged or I'm starting to feel like a bit of a throat cold coming on.
Yeah.
I will take a capful of it. I did this the other day.
Just gargle it, right?
And then I just swill it so it hits my throat.
Yep.
And then back out again, clears it completely. I think it was actually Tuesday I did this before we recorded the previous episode of this podcast on Tuesday. My throat was feeling quite clogged. Did that, fine, completely fine. It was great. So that's another added advantage as well.
But yeah, there's a whole list here. It says there are many reasons that people use mouthwash instead of standard alcohol beverages. High alcohol content, less expensive than alcoholic beverages, suffering from an alcohol addiction, less noticeable because of minty breath, turned away from bar because of intoxication. There's a cut-off time for liquor in most sales, but mouthwash is always available and may not be a restriction on buying mouthwash. Teens may buy mouthwash in an attempt to get drunk. That's crazy. The Nik Isaac podcast does not endorse using mouthwash as an intoxicant.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that. When I was at university, I did go into a group study like first thing in the morning, and the two people I was studying with said, "Have you been drinking?" And I was like, "No, but I did use mouthwash." And they were like, "Oh, okay, fair enough." I mean, I had been drinking, but the mouthwash was my excuse. But still, I was like, wow, as if they could smell that. I mean, mouthwash has quite a strong smell for the first few moments after using it, doesn't it? But it's nice if you feel clean.
That's crazy, though.
Yeah.
I did not expect it to be so high. 26%.
No, neither.
Wow.
Neither.
Yeah. Wow, madness.
Very
what's the highest percentage you've tried, man? Do you know?
Generally of alcohol. When I was 18, I tried absinthe, which was 70.
Ooh.
I want to say.
Nice.
That was a punch in the face. I think it's the only time I've ever tried absinthe.
I don't understand the US's proof system.
No, is it like it
just double
the
it.
word proof like double? Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay.
if it's 70% alcohol, it's 140 proof, which I don't understand on the point of having a system that goes above 100, but I'm sure there's a reason for it.
Yeah. So I had that. I think that was the strongest alcohol I've ever had. I have had whiskeys and white rums that are like between 50 and 60, like 55 or 60. Again, not a big fan. I think anything past 40 is just
not very nice.
Quite strong. It's too strong, isn't it? I think when it comes to spirits, the 25 to 40 range is a sweet spot. I think why I like spiced rums and stuff that kind of don't get too close to 40, and whiskeys as well that sometimes, you know, they'll be like 35 or something like that. But like, man, there's some of the alcohols, they can be really
I've not gone too far. I've not gone to 70. I think I've got a London dry gin that's like a 48 or something, and it's not particularly pleasant, man.
No,
not gin at the best of times, but
yeah, I imagine like things like those gins are probably more useful for cocktails, right? Where you're wanting to
even then, like
spice it up. It's quite strong.
Might be even better for I don't know, just killing the mold on your walls. Stripping paint from your wood,
say,
you know.
Mouthwash, Isaac, mouthwash.
Maybe. You know, I get weird looks there if I go out smelling a gin first thing in the morning. No, trust me, I just swilled it around and spat it out.
No, it's mouthwash, I promise. It's like what I was trying to do in that group project.
Yeah, jeez.
Gosh, yeah, no, I can't drink spirit levels that I used to. It's
you're not supposed to drink spirit levels, Nick. You're supposed to use them to put pictures up and stuff, you know, shelves.
I thought they had a high alcohol content.
No,
that bubble
green,
as well.
That green liquid inside. No, it's not for drinking.
You're not meant to. Damn. Is that why I've got all these health problems?
In other news, man, we keep talking about Sony and their PlayStation and accessories.
We do, don't we?
Yeah, we keep going back to it. Which is wild. I don't play my PlayStation too much outside of my recent foray into VR Beat Sabering. But Sony recently announced the upcoming new PlayStation 5 Slim. Have you seen these images, Nick, of the PS5 Slim?
I've seen two images of the new PS5s next to each other. I've also seen them in comparison to the two quote unquote fat PS5.
See, this is what I've not seen, actually. I've not seen the comparison, because my first thought when I saw them is they look pretty cool, but they look similar in terms of size, right? It's not like, I feel like sometimes.
Yes.
Like the PlayStation 3 versus the PS3 Slim, huge drop in size, right? And even like the PS2 was like a big old chunky box, and the PS2 Slim was like this real thin slab of a thing, right? Whereas these, they look pretty similar. I think, personally, I like so I've always liked the look of the discless PS5. I just dislike the practicality of not having a disc drive, right? Then, on top of that, I think, I've always thought that the discless one looks better. This new one, man, that they've got with the, I think they've managed to make, I'm looking at this photo you sent here, I think they've managed to make the disc one look worse with the new update. Like, looking at this image you just sent me.
Yeah. So I think, I had a somewhat similar thought process. The disc version of the new PS5 looks more tacked on, right?
It does.
An afterthought.
Well, so I really like the new PS5 Slim. I think this looks nice, right? I like the look. I like the design. I think it looks great. And I don't know if you've noticed, I don't know if you've read up on this more. There's 4 panels on each PS5. You can remove the disc drive.
And you can add it onto the digital one, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Which I think is such a good move on Sony's part. And I will take that over the more ugly-looking disc drive version, because for me, 90% of the time, I don't need the disc drive, right? Like, a lot of the time I'm playing a game that I probably downloaded digitally anyway, but I want to have the disc drive in case I want to play a disc game or in case I want to buy a game, like, today, right? And go and get it or whatever. So, I don't know, but, like, I would probably keep my PlayStation in, like, this digital-only mode, like, 90% of the time. And then if I needed to put a disc on, I just quickly slap on the disc thing on the side and go for it. So you can now buy the PS5 Slim digital edition, and then later you can buy the disc drive add-on. I think it's an extra £100. So I think it's cheaper to buy it with the disc drive up front. But you can, if you want, buy them separately, and then just add on that in the future, which I think is a fantastic idea. I think it's a great addition.
It's really good. Yeah, no, I think it's really good as well. I assume as well it might increase sales for people who are kind of flip-flopping between the two, but then can't quite afford the one with the disc drive. So would you, if you didn't have a PS5, would you buy the disc drive one and then immediately take the disc drive off and then put a covering panel on it?
That's the thing. It really depends on if the disced version comes with a spare panel for you to swap out the disc drive instantly. If it doesn't, then at that point, I'd probably just buy the slim version and the add-on disc drive, even though it's more expensive, because I'd want to be able to swap it out, right? I have a feeling that the version that comes with a disc is not going to come with a spare panel to remove the disc and make it look nice.
Yeah, I imagine so as well.
It does also sound that I saw in their press briefing that they are, like, Sony already sells plates for the PS5. Like, mine is completely blacked out. I don't have the white plates on mine, but and so they're going to sell plates for these as well. I assume if you buy a plate set, it comes with all of the plates you need, both for the disc drive and without. But I imagine those are coming later, and I imagine those are also going to be expensive. So if I didn't have a PS5 right now, I would probably buy the Slim, the digital only edition, and then also just buy the disc drive as an accessory to add on as and when, because it just looks so much better, I think, without the disc drive. It's clearly designed not to have the disc drive. Like, from the design of the console is clearly discless, and then they've been like, okay, we need to add a disc. You can tell even from the old one. Yeah, the discless version looks so much nicer, right? It's like somewhere along the line, somebody was like, "Hey, we have to
yes, it must be included, this. Right? Yeah, like the fact Xbox, that where it's kind of built into the square shape of it, isn't it?
There's a couple of interesting bits. It says 30% smaller, 18% lighter, which is interesting. Storage is increased up from 825 gigabytes on the base to 1 terabyte on the new one, which is nice. 2 USB-C ports is a good addition, though. Like, right now, there's only 1 USB-C port, and that's the one you have to use for the VR headset. So the fact there's now a secondary one is nice. It's a good addition. I like it.
Interesting. Okay. Very interesting. It's interesting that the vertical stand for the new PS5s is sold separately. I believe it came with the old PS5.
Well, the old one, the old one's the one I've got, it's like a multi-use stand. So the stand is used for both horizontal and vertical, depending on how you set it up. You can use the same stand for either one. Whereas that appears to not be the case. I think the new one comes with a horizontal stand, but doesn't come with a vertical stand. I also don't think you need a vertical stand, though. The PlayStation 5 does stand up on its own without a stand. It's only if you don't want your PS5 touching the ground or whatever it's on for, or like whatever
falling
reason.
Over risk or something. Yeah, like maybe if it's on like in a precarious position or something.
Yeah.
I personally, I don't have a PS5. I don't have an intention to buy one soon, but if I did, I would just get the digital one. And then at any point I needed a disc drive, I would purchase the disc drive after the fact.
See, it's tricky, right? Because I think it's one of those things where it's going to be the case that you buy the digital version, and then it's always cheaper to buy games physically than it is to buy them digitally, right? At least here in the UK, I assume it's the same in other parts of the world. Like, if you want to go and buy a new game, Hogwarts Legacy's come out, you want to buy it, it's going to be $69.99 on the PlayStation Store. It's probably going to be like £51 from Amazon or something, right, to buy a disc version. So you're saving almost 20 quid in terms of savings there. I have a feeling, though, the trouble that you're going to run into, and you're going to play into Sony's hands here, is that if you buy the digital-only one and don't immediately buy the disc drive with it, you're probably then going to just say, well, it's £100 to buy the disc drive. It's only £15 more to just buy the digital version of this game. And I don't have to go and physically get it, and I don't have to wait a day. You know what I mean? So I'll just buy the digital version and download it anyway. So I feel like the trouble there is that people are just not going to buy the disc drive.
Yeah,
because it's pricey.
I would imagine if I was going to buy a physical game, I would buy the drive with it in the same order. It just puts the price of the
game up, right? Because then, I don't know, in my mind at that point, you've got two options. You pay 60 quid, 65 quid, 70 quid, whatever it is for the digital version, or suddenly you're paying 150 quid, 155 quid for the disc version, right? Where it seems just less of a good value, even though in the long term it is a better value if you buy multiple games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do see where you're coming from. It's interesting. I want to know what the UK prices will be, right? Because the
I
disc
think
drive
they showed them. I think it's $79.99, I think, for the disc drive in the UK, maybe.
Okay, so it's the same in pounds as dollars. And then is it $4.49 for the digital version and $4.99 for the...
It's $4.79 for the PS5. So the Slim is going to be $389.99, and the sorry, I keep saying Slim to mean the discless version. The digital edition is $389.99. The disc version is $479.99, and the Blu-ray plate, sorry, is $99.99. £100 in the UK.
Oh, right. Okay, so it's actually more. So that's interesting because in pounds,
it's more than dollars.
PS5 is less, but the disc drive is more because apparently $450, $499 respectively for
I do see that,
for the new ones.
Yeah.
So you're paying a $30 premium for adding the disc drive afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Which is what I was going off. So in the UK, so you said $390 for no disc.
$480. Yep.
$480 with disc. So that's a £90 difference.
Yeah. So you save $9.99 by buying the disc version.
So it's a £10 difference, which is interesting. Yeah. So that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I would probably take that even more.
The vertical stand, this little black disc, is £25.
Oh my lord, Jesus Christ! The margin on that. That's very interesting. So I think I would still do that. I still think I'd buy the disc after the fact, and I would just loop it in with whatever disc to game I buy.
Yeah,
right.
See, I don't know
if it's a £10 premium.
For me, I feel like it's just the way my brain thinks. I would just buy them both at the same time and picture it as me just spending £9 more for that side plate, like as if I bought the disc version and a spare side plate from the get-go, because I know in the future my brain is going to be like, why are you going to spend an extra £100 here when you could just spend an extra £7 on the game or an extra £15 on the game, right? And but I guess for a lot of people as well, though, a lot of people I feel like just don't buy games these days. People play Apex, they play Fortnite, they play the other free-to-play games, Rocket League, right? There's just a lot of free-to-play games, so you just hop on. You don't even need PlayStation Plus to play free-to-play games online anymore. So
it's very true. So if you've got like almost £100 less outlay, right? So 80 quid, no, 90 quid difference. It's pretty good. It's almost 25% of the cost there. So yeah, very interesting indeed.
In 2023, £390 for I was going to say the most powerful console. The Xbox One X is still more powerful, I guess. But for a non-cut down version of a console, I think $390 is a bargain.
It's not bad, is it? It's not bad.
I think adjusted for inflation, like the PS3 launched at like £750 or something ridiculous. God, it was so expensive.
The PS3 was just generally expensive in its pound number value.
Yeah.
Back then, not even adjusted for inflation. If you released the PS3 now and charge how much they were charging, you'd be like, geez, that is expensive. Especially the 40 gig one that was, had all the extra bells and whistles in it that they ran for a certain period of time, and then they kind of gimped it a little bit and sold a cheaper version. That was very interesting.
The Xbox 360 was like 2005, right? Yes, even that. The Xbox 360 launched at $279 apparently. That's $469 in today's currency. So, it's I would have expected things to get more expensive, right? But the fact that they've gotten cheaper is good. Thumbs up.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. Well done, Sony. Well done.
Good job,
You're
Sony.
Doing well.
I mean, Microsoft's Series S or Xbox One S. I don't think is it the Series? No, it is the series now. The Xbox Series S. The new one's
the Series, yeah.
Their naming is still terrible. I'm sorry, Microsoft. It's so bad. But it's tricky, because how do you feel about the Xbox One Series S? Sorry, in terms the Xbox Series X in terms of its design.
I've never seen one in real life. I think it looks fine. I think it looks a little bit impractical because I feel like most people put things sideways on their TV stands, like in their in the shelves of their TV stands, and that looks like it would look quite awkward on its side.
It is. So I have one. I have it
Okay.
right below my PlayStation 5. And it's they both do fit into the. I've got like 2 holes under my TV stand. And the Xbox does fit, but it barely fits, right? Like it's kind of
Right.
flush with the thing. Like, I think the Xbox. See, it's tricky. I think the Xbox One X looks worse, but I think it's more of an engineering feat because it's substantially smaller than the PS5, but at the same time, it is like, here you go. I'm gonna send you a horrible link. It's just an image, but at the same time, it's more powerful, right? Marginally,
Yeah.
it's a small amount. It's more powerful than the PS5 is, and it's smaller, which is cool. But it's just a black box. It's a black cube, a rectangle.
It
you know?
really is just a rectangular black box. You do kind of think that it's like the designers are just kind of like, people like minimalism these days.
See,
Put
I don't
that
know.
out.
I thought the same thing with the Xbox One X though. The Xbox One X was like that VCR looking black glossy black box.
I've got a One X.
I think it looks horrible,
and that does fit quite nicely in my TV stand. It looks. Are you on about the slim down version or the OG?
Just the OG,
the Xbox One, right?
The Xbox One, sorry, not the X. Yes, that's my bad. The X is a bit
thing,
nicer. Yes, that's my bad. Microsoft, your naming is terrible. Please.
It's really bad. It's like
the One X.
Like
I think the One X looks better. I agree. That one's nicer and slim. The Xbox One, the original Xbox One, that's like black and it's got like this half matte, half glossy look. I just think it looks bad. Coming from the 360, which I thought looked.
It was a good
better.
looking console. Yeah, of course. Especially
like,
the slim version of that was really nice.
I feel like Sony realized that because Sony was selling black boxes, right? The PlayStation 2 was like a black box, and then the PlayStation 3 was like a curvy black box. But then, like, the PS4, I think, looked better than the Xbox One. But then Microsoft doubled down with another black box, and Sony was like, forget it, we're going to build a spaceship that looks crazy. And I think it's even if it's just the mind share that you get from, like, the news cycle of people, because it was controversial when they announced the PS5 look, right? People were like, what the heck is that? But, like, I think it pays off, for it to look a little bit different. Yeah, right, exactly.
Right, it's a marketing statement. People buy it, they have it in their living room. People come to visit, you know exactly what that is. They're like, oh, you've got a PS5. Holy crap, it's massive. Holy crap, it looks like that. But then it gets PS5 in your mind, right?
Even people who don't game, right? They see it and like, oh, that's a PlayStation 5. I've heard of this, I've seen this, right? Whereas if you walk in and you see a black rectangular cube, you're going to be like, oh, I assume it's a games console.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm not. But Microsoft, they've got so many more consoles, I guess, with the Series S and X, and but they just don't. The PlayStation's simple naming scheme is just so much easier to work with. They had the Xbox One, just release the Xbox 2. They would have been so easy for you. Like I get that. I get
release
why they didn't.
Xbox 2, Microsoft, the fourth Xbox.
I get why they didn't, because like I don't think you want to be behind Sony in numbering. I think that's going to have like a bad mind market share, right? I think it's kind of how Samsung and Apple have like the same year numbering somehow, despite the fact, do you know what I mean? They made like so many different phones. I think they kind of want to keep the but I think they want to keep, like, I think Samsung wants a bigger number than iPhone has, right? I think Xbox could have gone with an Xbox 2 after an Xbox One, but like they probably don't want to have Sony releasing a PS5 and then be releasing an Xbox 2. It sounds worse, right?
But what's next? The Xbox Class S and the Xbox Class X?
The Xbox tier S and tier X? It's like, wait, is the tier S is worse than the X? Okay.
The X? Oh, wait, what's going on? And there's the slim versions? Like, what's... Oh, dear.
Yeah,
Microsoft marketing.
It is wild, man. It's wild.
It is.
And unfortunately, we're out of time for this episode of the WHYBUT podcast. To wrap things up, man, my initial intro, I lied. Unfortunately, I'm gonna let you in on a secret here. I was walking back to my car from the gym. I did get stopped this morning by a woman who was, I would assume, in her mid-50s, rolling down her window as I was walking back. She didn't ask me what you're up to, Nick. That was a ploy. But she did ask me. She asked me. She was trying to turn into a car parking spot. She said, hey, could you move that bag for me? Because I looked, and the car parking spot she was trying to go into, someone had just left a bag, like a shopping bag of stuff.
No way.
Yeah, it wasn't like a shopping stuff
bizarre.
inside of it. It had like a hats and gloves and stuff, so I just kind of picked it up and moved it to the back of the car parking spot, and she said thank you, and then she pulled in, and I walked back to my car.
No way.
And drove away. Yeah.
Someone must have like put it down to put it in their car and then forgot about it.
Yeah, probably.
Or just hated their hats and gloves and whatever was in there.
I was a little confused at first. I was like, why is this woman talking to me out of the window of her BMW? But you know,
in the morning tea.
It was to ask me to move a bag for her, which I did because I'm a nice guy. Anyway,
very kind.
Thank you for listening, everybody. If you enjoyed the podcast and you want to listen to more in the future, you can go ahead and follow it on your favorite podcast listening platform of choice. If you're on your podcast listening platform of choice, feel free to give us a 5-star review as well. It helps us get permutated, pushed out to more ear holes in the future. You can also find us on YouTube, youtube.com/Nik and Isaac. And you can join the Discord, discord.whybut.co. I got the URL right first time for a change. You can join there and chat about the podcast if you're into that kind of thing. You can also ask questions if that question is, what have you been up to? For now, though, thank you for listening, and we will talk to you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.